Ruth McCracken and Trissetta Washington, two top-notch career and business strategists, are here to help you defy standards and break boundaries. Join them as they share powerful insights that have already impacted thousands of people and will have a major impact on your career, life balance, and business.
Hey, welcome. Hello, everyone. Hey, Trissetta.
Hey, Ruth.
How is everything coming along with you? We are now back into what? I don't know how many episodes, but this is episode 28.
That sounds about right. That sounds about right.
I hope all is well as we are streaming and inviting all of our light beams to come join us and celebrate with us. Listen, this is an opportunity for you all to go ahead and let's grab a few friends because we want to make it so joyful and so insightful, and most importantly, to the point where you're seeing some shifts. Go ahead and let us know where you all are coming from. We want to celebrate. We're going to really just jump right on in because we're now in series 2 in Mind Matters. Yes, because your mind matters. My mind matters. We all matter. And I want us to go ahead and actually week 3. We are in week 3. Can you believe it? Oh my gosh, we're in week 3 of Mind Matters as we continue to unfold. If you missed out the first couple of weeks, I got to tell you, you got to go back.
Absolutely.
And I know you got to go back. You got to go back and allow yourself to catch up because your mind, if you've been sleeping on it, and sometimes we tend to go into stagnant or into robot mode and be like, whoa, let's raise our consciousness. Let's jump on in. If you're coming in for the first time and you're wondering, who are these amazing creators of light that's just stopping by into your newsfeed, wherever you may be streaming from, I am Ruth. And listen, I help people in mid-level professionals and up. And I got to tell you, they come to us because they're looking to be more appreciated, be more valued. Because right now they're feeling as though they're being unrecognized and they're wanting to stand out as superstars so that they can be able to be a magnet and attract those dream careers their way effortlessly. Now, if this is you, you're not alone. Go ahead and reach out to me directly. I will personally reach out to you to see if you and I can be a fit with our team because we want to be able to make you have fun in what we call here as your life and your career, and then allowing you the opportunity to really explore that.
Awesome sauce. So I am Coach Trissetta, and what I do is partner with ambitious women in leadership and help them to overcome burnout and overwhelm using an approach that really combines time management strategies with intentional self-care practices. It's what I like to call balanced ambition. And so what I do is draw from my 25 plus years of experience in operations management to provide really personalized and tailored solutions that increase productivity and create sustainable success, which empowers my clients to achieve their goals, all without sacrificing their health or their well-being. So if that sounds like you, hit me up, go to chatwithtrissetta.com and just hop on my calendar. I'd be happy to have a conversation with you so that you can create balanced ambition in your life. And I am excited for our topic today because we were having a really good pre-chat before going live, and we've got some juicy stuff for you today. Ruth, why don't you kick us off?
You know what? Indeed. And I'm glad that we are going to go ahead and help you all understand what we're navigating, because this is the main part that we want to break through when it comes to our breaking boundaries. And our topic for today is we want to help you as people in the workplace, in your business, and also in your life, navigating career transitions and how to be able to tap into different strategies, but most important, for maintaining your mental health wellness throughout the process. So I want to just jump right on in because oftentimes when speaking to people like yourselves, and you might be the one saying you're talking to me, let me know in the comments if this is relating to you. When it comes to challenges of career transitions, the number one that runs through my Zoom calls, and when I'm doing my lives or when I'm doing any engagement with high performance, because I touch with you all as a career success strategist over 100 plus times in a month, The main factor, and let me know, you can go ahead and raise your thumbs up or add a one in the comment. When it comes to uncertainty and fear of the unknown, oh my gosh, thinking where I've been in my job or I've been in my career for maybe 5 years, and this is just an example, and I also speak for myself here. When you've been in a certain role for 5 years, 10 years, and maybe perhaps more, you kind of know, when it's 8 o'clock, what time your manager comes in, what time your folks, your peers are walking in, who is the most organized, who is the one that you may have to nudge every now and again on Teams to making sure, hey, have you done your task when it comes to this project? Go ahead and put in the notes that you kind of know your peers from the back of your head, or your manager. But when it comes to the moment of wanting to promote yourself, right? Or maybe want to relocate from a different zip code or area code, then it may be questionable as to, whoa, what am I wanting to do here? What am I going to be impacting my family with? Is this truly what it's going to be like? Because you don't know. Transitioning to a new career, by the way, often involves stepping into the unfamiliar territories. And if that is you, I wanted to be able to kind of share with you what some of the challenges may be, which can perhaps open up doors of evoking certain feelings that you didn't even know you had, right? Who can definitely understand that part of uncertainty and fear? After talking to different people, they say, what, Ruth, the lack of just clarity about certain jobs when I go prospecting, going through the job applications, applying, and I'm like, I'm good at my job right now. I think I do pretty okay. But then when I see that they're asking for required skills or education and maybe perhaps certain certifications, then you get stumbling block. Then you start to thinking, well, maybe I may not need to move out just yet. Maybe I don't want to set myself up. Maybe I'm biting more than I could chew. And certain times we then leave that baton to the side because we don't want to go through that daunting process. We think it's may create some overwhelmness or some anxiety starts kicking in. Another one is challenges when it comes to career transitions is skill and knowledge gap, which kind of stems down with what I just said. Like, maybe you're probably thinking, well, you know what? I have 20 years of work experience and I only have my high school diploma, or I may only have less than 5 years of work experience and I have my PhD or my master's or a bachelor's. And then you start getting these creative stories in your mind. And let me know, because Trusetta, I know this can be true sometimes, where you probably see a job description, you're like, oh man, I feel so much passion to being that HR manager or being that HR consultant or whatever, or talent acquisition partner. And then you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I meet the criteria. I don't know if I'm qualified enough. Do I have to acquire new skills? How am I going to help build that bridge between my skills and my work experience? Is that you? Is that you? Whoever's listening, being able to go from a previous career, maybe transitioning to something completely full 180 and thinking in back of your head, is it going to require more demand? And this is one of my clients today. They're saying, well, Ruth, maybe I don't want to be a manager. Not knowing that manager doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be operating or conducting or running a team. It could be an individual key contributor. Sometimes just thinking that maybe it's going to be more demand that's going to cause significant maybe health factors, because we are the creator of our reality. Yes or yes. Whatever we're thinking, whatsoever man thinketh what, so is he. So if you're thinking that it's going to be overwhelming, guess what? You're basically creating a path that doesn't even exist, but the fact that you're thinking it, guess what? It's going to come to pass. It's going to start, maybe more than likely, start fabricating this illusion or this reality because of what's in here and what's in your heart. So another way is, what else can we kind of dive in terms of another opportunity? I think we talked about this in quite a bit of our prior episodes when it comes to challenges in career transitions, financial considerations. Oh my gosh. And we're going to talk about this a lot more in upcoming episodes, right? In a whole different series. But when it comes to career transition, it can come with financial implications. Number one, taking a pay cut. Now,
I've done that many times.
Yeah.
I've done it many
For
times
that.
in order to make, when you're, you know, sometimes if you want to switch industries, um, or, enter into a new career field altogether, you kind of have to kind of maybe take a few steps back so that you can kind of get your foot in the door because maybe you don't have experience in certain aspects that are required for that field. And
Mhm.
then, but you can quickly grab hold and move forward. But sometimes, I've never been afraid to start over, right? And go and take a pay cut so that I can move into the vein that I really desire to. But that's something that can bring a lot of stress and anxiety for people
Yeah.
when they're thinking about making that kind of transition in their career.
I can agree with you more. And, especially in the interesting time that we now introducing ourselves in the Western hemisphere here in the US, where a lot of folks, because of the inflations, the cost of living, it doesn't even matter at this point what area code or zip code you're in. You're gonna sense it and you're gonna feel it to some certain level. And going through this can be super stressful and maybe unsure and uncertain. Am I needing to go ahead and take that leap or opening that door and seeing what's on the other side? Why not? Why not give yourself that grace to see so? We're going to talk about that in terms of what opportunities, what strategies. But now let's go in even more as far as another challenge is identity and self-image. Ooh, this is
Yeah.
major twister.
Yeah.
I remember that game you play the twister and then we had the on the floor. This is
Yeah, and you're like a contortionist basically on the floor, right hand on green or what.
that part. And that's how some of us maybe be feeling when shifting careers. Like
Yeah.
I'm having to identify, I have to look from within, look from the outside. Am I presenting myself in a fashion where, my previous career created this certain perception? I was accustomed to it and I was attached to that professional identity. Now in my up and coming, or you have this perception thinking others of your professional identity can create a sense of what? Loss of confusion. And when it's now time for you to create a new identity or about your new identity on maybe taking another opportunity or shifting from one career to the next, it can create some sort of, I like to say, when it comes to your identity, you want to be able to fully be aware. And sometimes you might need support. And that's another area. Do you see yourself doing this alone? Are you giving yourself the grace to step out of self? Or do you want to continue just say, you know what, I'm just going to bite the bullet and just figure it out? Another way of challenges that I too have seen a lot of it now, because a lot of people say, Ruth, networking and professional connections has become super challenging. It's like people are not knowing what is the new way to network, what is the new
Yeah.
way to really build genuine kindle relationships. They find it to be a struggle. Building a network and establishing professional connections is crucial to your career success or business.
Yeah, we talk
Being in
about
a,
that a lot.
yes, we talked. Yes, tell me more.
Well, I just was jumping. I didn't mean to cut you off,
No, that's
but
okay.
that, I mean, we talk about networking and building those connections a
Yes.
lot on breaking boundaries. So this should not be new to anyone who's been around for a little while. But I think one of the challenges right now
Mhm.
is the culture that we're in, this post-COVID culture that we're in. People
Yes.
are still, we're starting to get out a little bit more now. So I'm starting to see more in-person networking events, but it can be a lot more challenging virtually to build those connections,
Yeah.
especially on platforms like LinkedIn where we're streaming. Because I know I get a ton of inbox requests,
Oh
and
my
I'm
God.
and I'm s- I don't have the time and energy for all of them. And then I'm also sometimes questioning motives. Why is this person just randomly reaching out to me? Most of the time it's a sales pitch and they're not trying to build a genuine connection with me. And I'm very much a relationship person.
Mm,
So, moving from where you are right now in your career to step into a new field or into a new industry,
yes.
you got to build relationships with people in a completely different capacity than what you have been. And that can bring a lot of anxiety for some people. And, which then will impact your mental health.
1,000%. And then just knowing that the emotions that comes behind it.
Yeah.
I always say, find it to where, remember when we were in elementary, where you're building your relationship. It's like you have this pure consciousness of just wanting to go play. Hey, you want to play with me? Yes,
Right.
let's go play. Like, hey, you want to color with me? Oftentimes you may not get a no. They're like, okay, let's go play. Let's learn. And then they just be like butterflies. You just start being creative. Why not bring that version of you? Because people want to see that light. People want to genuinely see that you care, you matter. You want to see what ways you can build a very general personal commitment, and finding out what exactly do they do, and then get curious and say, hey, I see you work for this remarkable company. What's keeping you going? I would love to see, what ways can we connect? Maybe what ways can I help support you when it comes to hiring those new job recs that you may have out there? And my community may join hands with your community. Let's see how we can make a match. Let's see how we can definitely connect. It's all about your approach. And we'll talk about it. I know we talk about it heavily in the past, but you got to find a way. After doing what we just shared when it comes to networking and professional connection, what else? Emotional and psychological impact. Tracetta, take them home with this.
Listen, when you are making some sort of transition in your career, that can trigger a whole host of different emotions. You might have self-doubt. I talked about anxiety just a moment ago, frustration. And when you are making that transition, having to cope with all of that emotional turmoil is amplified because you're leaving behind all of the routines that you had before, right? So we are creatures of habit. And once we get into our routines, we don't really have to think about, we go into autopilot mode and we don't have to think as much. I start talking about the neural pathways, but whenever you're doing something new, you're having to build and solidify a new neural pathway. And for things that we do regularly, we've got a clear path.
Explain to them what you just said, because a lot of people may not be familiar about this neural pathway. Let's kind of bring it home to them as to what exactly am I needing to create or build to remove myself from what I've been accustomed to or addicted to.
Yeah. So what happens is whenever we do something new, we have neurons in our brain. We have billions of neurons in our brain, and they fire to tell our body what to do, right? Or how to respond or how to react. It starts, your brain is a huge computer. And when you're doing something new, it has to build a new pathway to do that new activity. And the very first time that you do it, think of it this way. And I think I talked about this last week as well, or week before last, where you are cutting a new path in a forest, right? Or a field,
like
maybe
that.
think of like a field of corn, and you need to create a path through this field where there isn't a path. Well, the first time you go at your machete and you go and you just kind of cut a pathway through. So the first time you go through, it's really raw. You may get through, but it's a really raw path. The next time you go through, you're taking your machete, you cleaning it up a little bit more. And each time you go through, the path becomes more and more solidified. There's, think about it. Have you ever been on like a college campus or in some office park where they have sidewalks, but then you see there's a more direct path from one point to another, and you see where the grass has been worn down, where people regularly go that way? Think about that way. That's what's happened is the first person who went through there didn't create the path, right? Or they didn't create that solidified path. It might have just been like a few footsteps, but then somebody came behind them and made it the footprint, the grass a little bit more depressed. And then another person came, and over time, the grass became so depressed from that consistent travel that it became a full pathway. that's what happens in our brain the more we do things. So when things become routine,
I
you've
like
got
that.
a solidified path, and doing something new, there's more resistance there because you got to cut through all of this stuff.
All the weeds and everything
Right.
that comes along. Yes.
Right.
No,
You
that's
got to
a
cut
good
through
way of
all this
looking at
stuff
it.
to
Yes.
get to that new path, and that can make you have to deal with a whole bunch of different emotions when you're doing that something new, right? Because you're leaving behind those routines, you're leaving behind those familiar relationships, right? You've built bonds and relationships and rapport with your colleagues, and going into this unknown career path or into this new career path or even a new job can just really be emotionally challenging. I remember there was a time, because when you're out of your routine, now you're in this place of transition until you establish a new routine,
Oh my
right?
God.
And establishing new routines takes time.
It
And
takes
I
time.
remember years ago, I took a job. I was living in Tampa and I took a job in Atlanta. And when I went to Atlanta, my apartment wasn't going to be ready for 2 months. So I ended up having to stay with friends of family
Yeah.
until my apartment was ready. But not only that, we were opening up a new agency and our office space wasn't ready yet either. So we were having to share, my boss and I were having to share this one desk outside of our VP's office until they would have our office space together. Plus, I still was partially living in Tampa. I hadn't fully moved to Atlanta because my apartment wasn't ready yet. So I was having to go back and forth between Tampa and Atlanta. And I was just in this whole place of transition. And I remember one day I had had enough, all of the emotions of being in this phase of transition for so long.
Yeah.
I was sitting on the floor in my suit. We were getting ready to go to a recruiting event. And I was sitting on the floor of my boss's brand new apartment, which was completely empty because he had just signed the lease like the day before and hadn't even moved in yet. And he gave me the key to be able to go and change before we had to go to the event. And I'm sitting on the floor waiting on him to get there in my suit, crying because I was completely and totally overwhelmed with all of the emotions of everything going on. So I said all that to say, this transitioning, specifically career transitions, just can really create a lot of emotional and psychological upheaval in your life. And so, but we're not going to leave you out here with no strategies, because we got one more challenge that we want to cover, and then we're going to slide into some strategies for how you can maintain your mental health while you are going through this process, because we're not trying to tell you to stay where you are.
No,
right?
but you got to at least identify it, be aware. Yeah, definitely
Right.
be aware of some of the symptoms, and
Right.
sometimes you may not be aware, and these are just some that we definitely want to identify for sure.
Absolutely. And then the last challenge I think that we want to cover is just kind of when you're in that transition phase, trying to balance your personal and professional responsibilities can be a little bit more challenging because you're having to adjust to this new routine, to this new role. You might have to make some adjustments in your personal commitments, such as your family obligations or your financial responsibilities if you're having to take a pay cut to make this change. And then so trying to figure out how to balance the two while you're finding this new routine in your new place, and then creating a new routine in your personal life that aligns with your new professional routine, can just really bring a lot more additional complexity and additional stress to your life. But like I said, we're not saying all of this to get you to stay where you are. So you're like, oh my gosh, Tristetta and Ruth, this is so much. This is giving me all these reasons to just not move forward and stay where I am. No, ma'am. No, sir. We're not going to leave you in the pit of despair. We've got some strategies for you that's going to help you to take care of yourself. Know that you know what those challenges are. You can be better prepared to handle them 100%. By implementing the strategies that we're going to share with you. And the first one is, it shouldn't be any surprise, especially coming from me, but it's to practice self-care. Yes. You got to practice self-care. Not only that, you've got to prioritize your self-care.
I think that's a major one.
Oh, absolutely.
You are prioritizing this.
Oh,
Yes.
absolutely. Absolutely. You got to prioritize those things that are going to nourish your mind, right? Nourish your mind, your
Yes.
body, and your soul, your spirit, right? Engage in those activities that's going to help you relax, reduce stress, recharge your batteries so that you can go forward and be the best version of yourself. So this might look like exercise, meditation,
Yes.
spending time in nature, right? Maybe going for a walk or sitting out by a lake or going to the ocean,
Mhm.
doing some hobbies that you have, or even just connecting with your loved ones, some friends and family. But it's important for you to make sure that you make this a non negotiable part of your routine. It is
Say
a
that
date that
so.
you have
Say
with
it. Say
yourself
this.
that you do not
Yes.
cancel,
You
right?
know
Because a
what?
lot
And
of times
that's
we
a lot
want
of
to cancel
times,
on ourselves.
yeah. And oftentimes that can be our crutch. Can you
Yeah.
agree? Where you find maybe a business engagement or you may be pulled at work and then you know you already put this in the books to go get your massage or perhaps to go on a walk on a beach or go take, go with your partner or just alone. And then here you are now having to negotiate. Certain things you got to be able to set boundaries. You got to break out the old and set new rules. And then, I love that you talked about practice self-care. We want to be able to also tell you to go seek some support.
Yeah.
It's so many variety of ways to getting so many networking, not just so much more on the mental part, but that's what we're talking about because it matters, because it starts there. Your war zone is in your mind. Do you have the proper support network? Do you include your friends, your families? Do you have mentors? Do you share your thoughts, or do you keep them in a shelter or keep them in a container? Why not have fun with expressing your feelings about career transitioning? Seek your guidance, seek the guidance of your partners. I'm sure they would love to open up to you, but are you opening yourself up to them? And encourage it so that they can tap into being more empathy with you. Consider maybe joining some professional networks, for example. LinkedIn is huge. They have public and private groups that you can maybe get involved with. You can even check out your local chamber of commerce, any associations or affiliations that may hit more home to you that you would love to see yourself be related to your field. You won't know what you don't know until you do the unfamiliar. Back to the top first thing when we talked about as far as challenges. You can marry these two together by managing expectations when it comes to, once you first get these seeking support, now you want to manage it. How am I going to be able to manage these expectations? How am I prioritizing it? Be realistic. It's all about, are you planting realistic goals? Are you giving yourself the opportunity to understand that your career transition is going to take some sort of time? It's a process. It's, what does that roadmap look like? Do you have a crystal clear roadmap to getting you to your next destination? Set achievable goals and certain milestones, even if it's mini milestones that's going to lead to your macro minds, your milestones. And be patient with yourself. Is that okay? Is that okay to be patient with yourself? And
Absolutely.
and also celebrate your wins. Oh, my daughter was telling me, and she's getting her real estate. She's wanting to get her real estate while she juggle her dance professional as well. She's been dancing since she was 2, and she has so many charismatic styles. She was on it. She went to some dance classes last night. I know you still do some dances as well. And my point here is you want to be able to celebrate your small ones. She wants to accomplish her real estate. She's already put in the books that she's going to go ahead and take her license exam by June 2nd or June 2nd or June 3rd. Put some realistic, obtainable goals, although she's been studying since January. So it's realistic for her and she feels confident that she's going to go ahead and do it. Your question for you want to ask yourself is, am I placing obtainable and realistic goals within my roadmap?
Yeah.
Replace self-doubt. That's another area. Talk about that with them, how to cultivate some sort of positive mindset. Because here's the truth, your mindset, if we're not focusing on ways to reframing some of the challenges that we talked about earlier, Trisetta, what ways can we help them be able to cultivate that new pathway of positive mindset?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you have to shift your thoughts, right? Because what you think about, you bring about.
Oh,
And so if you are constantly focusing on negative things, if you constantly have this negative self-talk in your brain,
Yes.
then that's what you're going to look for. That's the lens that you're going to see the world through. So you've got to shift that. One of the ways that you can do that is through using positive affirmation, words of affirmation,
Yes.
and having little reminders around you of what your strengths are and your past achievements are. One of the things, the book of Hebrews is sometimes called the Hall of Faith, right? Because it highlights all of the different individuals in the Bible who did some really great exploits in the name of the Lord. And I used to say to, when I was in ministry, I used to say to people, create your own list
Oh, I love
of,
that you say that.
you
Create your
know,
own list.
your own list of things that God has done for you. Well, now I'm going to say that to you in a different way. Create your own hall of faith or your own hall of fame,
Okay.
with your
Yeah.
past achievements, right? Keep a list, whether it's in a journal or a note that you have on your computer or wherever, where every time you achieve something, whether it's big or small, you add it to your list. And when you're feeling down, when you're feeling like you don't have what it takes to carry on or to do something great, go back and review your Hall of Fame list to remind yourself, put yourself in remembrance of all the things that you have accomplished before. And then also, you want to make sure that you're surrounding yourself with positive people. Who you hang around influences you. And so if you're around negative Nellies all the time, then you can't help but to soak up that negativity. But if
Yeah.
you're around positive Patties, then you're going to end up getting soaking up all the positivity from the people that you're around. So make sure that you are surrounding yourself with people who are positive.
Yes.
Consume inspirational content.
Oh,
Watch motivational videos on YouTube. That's one of the things that I do a few times a week so that
yeah.
I stay encouraged and inspired and don't allow the negative self-talk to override all of the positivity and all of the great things that I've already done in life.
That's it. I love it. And while you're going through those positive ways and reframing your mind and affirming to yourself, set realistic boundaries.
Mhm.
Oftentimes again, are you creating new rules? Are you setting expectations that you want to hold yourself accountable to? And if you're not able to hold accountable to, we're talk about what ways you can, be able to seek professional guidance and support. But in the meantime, you want to be able to clear your plate and be able to put clear boundaries between work and personal life during this transition. You got to avoid overworking, working those 50, 60 hours or neglecting self-care activities. Designate specific time for work-related tasks when it comes to job searching, when it comes to skill development, because that's part of what you're wanting to create, that new pathway. And I get that you have your 9 to 5. I get that. But where is the time that's being designed specifically to help cultivate you and dedicating yourself time for relaxation, getting to know maybe some hobbies? There's so many gifts that's embodied in us that you may not even have the opportunity to tap into yet because you're saying, Ruth, I don't have the time. Well, guess what? Make the time today. Make the time now. And then practice stress management techniques. Oh, I love this one because you got to be able to develop some stress management that's going to allow you to find those gifts, discover those gifts from within, right? So you won't know what you don't know until you start maybe doing some breathing exercise. What I like to say is carve out, you know, I'm for one to say maybe give yourself 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20
Yeah.
minutes, but you got to find out what's going to be your sweet zone when it comes to committing a certain time and being consistent with it. And once you do that, you want to be able to start developing certain activities that bring you joy and fun, and then also appealing peace of mind. Because that's where a lot of people say, Ruth, I just want peace. I just want peace of mind, some quietness. Then give yourself grace to do so, even if it's for 5 minutes out of your day. Meditate, journal, engage with activities that's going to allow you to become more aware of what's within so you can now start to transition in your career more smoothly and more easily, right? There shouldn't be sense of urgency now that you maybe got into a layoff? Let us know in the comments that, do you find yourself always in survival mode when it comes to trying to stay organized and prioritizing what matters to you the most? What structure are you in? What blueprint are you following? Or are you just basically just going through a survival mode mindset where you're on a go, 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 and not knowing when to hit the brakes and
Yeah.
pause? Right?
I just want to add something too. You
Yeah.
know, you shared several different stress management techniques that can be used to kind of help you relax and decompress. I just want to place a caveat here, because some people will turn to alcohol and other substances
Yeah.
to try and help them relax. And the reason why we didn't mention anything like any type of substance to help you relax is because that's a form of escapism. The
Yeah.
techniques that we share with you are techniques that will allow you to process your emotions, allow you to process the
Yeah.
feelings rather than just escaping them. Because there is a big difference when you process the feelings, when you feel it and you process it, you're able to move more quickly through it than if you try to escape them. Because as soon as the substance wears off, you're going to be right back there. By addressing it head on, by doing some sort of meditation or mindfulness activity or journaling, that helps you to get it off of your chest and really work through it rather than just kind of sweeping it under the rug. So
I
I
love
just wanted to
that
kind of put
you
that little caveat there.
Well, thank you so much. You did a great job by bringing that up, because we tend to, as humans, to think that we need to suppress and
Hmm.
not raise our consciousness as to why is it even here? Where is this emotion even conducting? Where is it stemming from? What created that, unease emotion or imbalance that we talked about in our, if you didn't catch that
Yeah.
last one, you want to go back and hit the replay, because
Yeah.
it matters to me that that I need to stay prioritized, but you want to practice stress management techniques. Good job. Thank you so much, Trisetta. That was a happy way of kind of bringing this and driving this all the way home, because we just unfold a lot. And as much as we want to close in by sharing with you how to seek professional help if needed. Because when it comes to these strategies, it matters that you're wanting to create this blueprint that's going to get you to remove some of the struggling with anxiety if you find yourself in this mist, or overwhelmness or depression, because it's not an emotion that you want to find yourself waking up to every day. You don't want to wake up thinking, oh my gosh, I may not be able to tackle this on my own. Then you may, as a suggestion, can provide guidance by allowing yourself, what ways can I cope with some of these, by going through some strategies, by personalizing support and help navigate through these challenges and maintaining what we like to call mental well-being, because your mind matters. So we talked about some of the challenges, because we got to be able to know what's the pros and what's the cons. We live in a dual reality, right?
Right.
So we got to be able to identify what's going on, what's not working, and what could be working, but maybe if I was aware that this is what's causing, this is what's driving some of the stress when it comes to my career transitioning, then now I can create a roadmap or a new pathway on how to seek guidance and how to go through some of this mental health transitioning from my career or business. I love this. You all been sitting here and listening. You may want to go back and hit the replay, because I'm sure our audience is wanting to know, what we've unpacked quite a bit. We even kind of went over just a little bit, because we wanted to be able to share with you some of the challenges, but most importantly, walking away with some sort of key strategies that's going to help bring this ribbon in and have some fun with it. Surround yourself with other like-minded beings who want to see you flourish, who want to see you soar. And I want to see you soar. Trisetta and I want to see you to be able to say, I'm going to
Absolutely.
overcome some of these boundaries. I'm going to set some new rules, and I'm going to have some fun. Why not have some fun?
Absolutely.
Enjoy your life. Enjoy this journey. And go ahead and let's disrupt this algorithm, because it matters to us that you're hitting like and share. Follow us if you're not following us already, so you can get more familiar with what is it that we're looking to impact when transforming lives and making you be more aware on how to make your life, your business, and career be all balanced and enjoying every bit of it. Have full abundance. If
Yes.
this was really impactful for you all, let us know in the comments. We will personally go back and reach out to you and celebrate with you as well.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, have an amazing day and enjoy. Talk to you next time. See you.
See you next week.
Join and subscribe with career strategist Ruth McCracken and business strategist Trisetta Washington to the Breaking Boundaries podcast each week. You too can experience the limitless potential of rewriting rules and creating an extraordinary future for yourself.